Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan. And I got something to kind of open with. It's really stupid, but it's one of those things. Every once in a while, you just see some like, oh my god, this is so cheesy and so crass, and above all, so American.
Uh-huh.
I gotta buy it. And I even got one for you. So...
What is it?
I went to the
this
store...
sounds magical.
I went to the store the other day. There's actually kind of an evolution to it. There's a series of them. It's kind of an evolution to them.
They sound magical. My interest is very piqued right now.
Okay, well... I'll just pull it out and I'll explain
It comes
to
out of
you.
the brown paper bag. Oh my god.
Explain
Shaq
what you see.
Soda?
No, Soda Shaq.
Oh, Soda Shaq. And this is fantastic. It's purple. It's got a basketball on it. And Shaq's face is right in the center. He's smiling.
There's almost like an evolution. It says like a big can for the big man. It's a big like 40 ounce.
Oh yeah, I see. It's got the little slogans on it. It's got some stars. It's got like
It's just...
blueberries in a basket.
Now here's what we got right here.
And then it's got him standing up tall next to the nutrition facts. Olympic gold medal, Atlanta, 1996.
I just thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Oh my god, these are fucking
how
awesome.
far he's come from Kazam. Now here's the one that's blueberries.
Shazam, not Kazam.
Kazam, yeah. That's blueberries and cream. This is just plain old vanilla, but there's almost an evolution to it. Look at mine. The center of his face, like, hey, cream soda.
Oh, look at
that's cool.
Cream.
It's
you know, like your daddy would have gave you.
Then you look at the blueberries and cream. He's like, his
Yeah.
face changes. He's like, yeah, that's nice. Now, the one I bought and drank it right away, just because I had to know,
Do you have the can with you?
is this one.
I'm so glad. I like how you put it in, like, there was a drawer that is just set aside for this one can.
So vanilla, he's like, that's cool. Blueberries, blueberries. This is him on orange. He's apparently scared of orange.
This looks like he's a Night of the Living Dead or something.
It's this look of fear, of just like he's about to die. Like someone.
Well, that though too, but look at it. Looks like it's like an old horror movie too. It's like black and white. These are fucking awesome.
Do you want the blue one or you want the vanilla one?
You take whatever. I'll drink whatever. These cans are. I'm gonna buy myself one of these just to put in my fucking like
next to your stack of Arnold Palmers.
Yeah, next to my Arnold Palmers and my Mario bobblehead. That is fucking badass.
Yeah, so I just had to show you that and got one for you.
You could sell somebody sells out though, but wouldn't you love to have your own soda with your face on it?
Yeah.
It sounds like the thing you're like, who doesn't want their own drink? It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a beer, it could be a soda, it could be like Kool-Aid or something.
Apparently he does not want his face on orange cream though. He's scared of orange cream. Someone told him
Either that or he likes it so much it's almost scary.
Like he just like elbowed someone out of the way.
This is fucking awesome too. This tastes great.
It's kind of like an Italian soda. It's kind of like more of a natural kind of thing. Oh, you moved the Xbox controller a little bit away from that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thanks. But
I have a PlayStation 2 controller that someone spilt the soda on many years ago. That controller's still never been the same ever since then. It still sticks every once in a while. That's like the last thing you ever want.
High school, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I think it must have been around that time. Mm-hmm. It was a woman that did it. Mm. You know.
No respect for them game systems.
It's just like, and to this day, like, you gotta tap the square button sometimes. Like,
They get sticky.
Yep. Especially when you're playing, like, Final Fantasy VIII, you gotta kind of hold select, and you gotta tap the square button to boost your GS.
Yeah.
And that part sometimes gets a little tricky, though.
Well, back on this just for a second, though.
These are fucking awesome, though. I mean, what store did you find
7-Eleven. I bought a bunch of them at once because it's kind of like 7-Eleven, though. Like, they seem to have, like, whatever's left over.
Sometimes it's kind of like that.
So I had one of them. I bought the orange one. Like, that's pretty good. And then I just thought, it's so funny. I'll buy a few more. Bring one on the podcast.
Now, is this all the flavors, all three of these ones?
There's one more.
What flavor is that?
I'm not really big on, like, artificial strawberries. It was, like, strawberries and cream.
Oh.
And it had his face. And it was, like, similar to that one. But he had his mouth open, smiling. So I guess each one, it gets progressively, like,
like more intense.
Yeah.
That's fucking badass, though.
So
I'm gonna have to pick me up some of those now. I want to try that orange cream one because orange cream's like the bomb.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite sodas. 50-50 bar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Best. It's like, you know that place in Columbia, like the Douglas Saloon. They got some of the best sodas there because they like kind of make them there. They make them all 1800 style.
They have like the sarsaparilla or whatever.
They got the sarsaparilla. They got the orange cream. They got I I think it's cherry. It's been so long since
Cheer Wine? They have that one?
No, not cheer wine. That's new in a sense. No, it's one of those ones that used to be. It's cherry or it's It might be strawberries. It's been so long. I mean, I haven't had one of these in like 12 years. I keep saying I'm gonna go back there and have one just because it's so fucking good.
I just saw one of these. I was like, what the fuck? I had to double check. I just had to.
These are so cool. I am so glad. I'm glad at least you got one of these. I'm afraid that if I go back there, like even tomorrow, they might not be there.
They might not. Yeah, I looked everywhere else in town. I looked everywhere. Maybe it's an exclusive 7-Eleven thing because I looked everywhere else in like.
Well, it's made by Arizona, so I mean, it's got a pretty big name attached to it.
Maybe it's something to promote his new TV show. I don't know.
You know what's the one good thing? If you look at the ingredients, it's not bad.
Yeah, it doesn't look all too bad. I mean, it's probably nothing amazing for you, but it's not like corn syrup or anything.
This is bourbon extract.
Yeah. But no,
but it doesn't have anything like too bad. I mean, you wouldn't want to just be drinking these like they're going out of style. Well, maybe they're going to be going out of style. Might as well drink them like they're going out of style.
A lot of, like, as I showed it to some people I work with, like, what the fuck? They just kind of like backed away from it.
That is so badass.
I'm not even a basketball fan.
The blueberry one, he's just so happy. He's just like, hey,
man. The orange one is some kind of like primal rage of some sort.
The orange is either rage or it's utter fear, like Freddy just came into his dreams.
Like, he was just, maybe like the photographer, they were just trying to like, you know what, we didn't really get it with the orange one. The photographer was like waiting in his closet. Surprise! Just took the picture right there, and they used that picture for the orange green one.
The guy with the photographer's dressed up like in a Bigfoot costume. It's like something that just freaked the fuck out of you. Like, oh, what the fuck?
I mainly got this for the hopes of one of two things, if not both. Get the power of Shazzam. Or Shaq Fu.
Yeah, Shaq Fu. That game was so cool.
That actually was a good game. You could laugh all you wanted in that game.
It's actually pretty well made, though, because it was cool because like, it was a fighting game, but it was also kind of like semi like an RPG. Like, how badass is that?
And then there's also, like, because every once in a while you look at...
It had a story and everything, too.
It was primarily Sega Genesis games. It could take something that sounds stupid, but then...
I think that game also was on Super Nintendo, though, too.
It was?
Because that was, like, the age, too, where, like...
They make two different games for...
Even though that one might be the same one. I can't remember. I know I have one copy of it. I can't remember which one.
I think the 90s is the last time you can kind of get away with. And it was primarily Sega Genesis titles, if I remember. You can get away with something sounding really ridiculous, but still actually be a decent game. I remember there's a Chester Cheetos game. The game that came out like to promote like, you know, Cheetos for kids. And I remember it being a pretty fun game, actually.
Well, there's one game, it's Cool Spot, the 7-Up like icon, and that game's fucking badass. And they made a second one, doesn't even get close to how cool Cool Spot 1 is. I think it's called like Cool Spot World or something like that.
Is that the one where it's like 3D?
It's like it's like partial 3D, and it's got, like that 3/4 view.
There's one that was actually like, remember like, I don't remember what it was.
I want to say really quick about that Cool Spot though. You know, remember Tommy Tallarico from on G4 with, what the fuck? It was, he was
Judgment Day?
Yeah, and he
was with like George Lucas's like nephew or something.
And Tommy Tallarico was the other guy, and he's pretty much like Steven Tyler's like nephew or cousin or something like that.
Yeah,
that guy did the music on the Cool Spot game though.
He did music. That guy, he
does music for a lot of like random ass video games.
Well, it's kind of funny because he was talking about like,
and somehow you can do music for video games and get on a TV show. It's just funny how this world works.
While we were on Judgment Day, he would actually. I want to come back to Tommy Tallarico. What is that his name? Tommy Tallarico.
I think it's Tommy Tallarico.
Come back to him.
Because he has Steven Tyler's like original last name.
I want to go back. I want to jump back to him in a second, but I just want to say this. There's also another game. This wasn't for Sega Genesis, but this was for the NES. And there was a game where it was like the Domino's Pizza thing, the NAD or was it the NAD or the NET?
I remember what it was.
It was like the retarded man in a red rabbit suit. He was like a crack fiend, like just like run over the house and like steal your pizza.
They used it for commercials for a bit, but just enough to make a video game off of it.
Yeah. It must have been around just maybe a year, if that. Like the retarded like rabbit thing, just bounce around the house and try and steal your Domino's pizza. Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it was those mascot video games.
Well, anyway, I remember that one being kind of like really hard. I don't know.
Well, a lot of times, like when a game isn't made well on the regular Nintendo, it's really fucking hard.
It is, yeah. The Karate Kid game was hard.
Well, it's like you think if the game wasn't made well, they'd make it easy. It's like no, they just make it even harder than it needs to be.
Fuck you, boy! It's time to man up, you know.
It's like, well, I guess
collect them Domino's pizzas.
I guess you could say Burger King tried to redo that with like the Xbox. Remember they had like those like probably like 7 years ago by now. I think it was on Xbox.
They're like kind of like the
I don't know if it was Xbox 360 or Xbox One.
I think it was Xbox One. It was like have the Burger King kind of like race game or whatever.
Yeah, they had like kind of little mini games. And it's like, well, that's kind of cool promotion. It's different. Too bad it's not.
Well, you played as like different like Burger King characters in a racing game.
Well, you played like the creepy King guy.
Plays a creepy king guy. I don't think they had the 90s kids or like in the wheelchair.
No, they didn't have those.
them. Maybe they're unlockable characters. I remember they had
If they had those, I think I would have went on my way and got that, actually. I really do. If that was in there, that would have like made my day.
90s social tolerance, relate, because there's the kid with the backwards cap. He had the big, like, thick 90s like sunglasses.
He was the main character.
There is, of course, he was the blonde kid. There's the black kid who was just kind of there.
He was the black kid who was there. It was just like, and he was just like a regular guy.
He was like the most normal of all of them. Then there is a girl. There's like a little ginger girl. There is like a blonde girl. Remember, she looked a lot like the French chick from Captain Planet.
Oh yeah.
Then there's a ginger boy, but he was like in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and what was his name, like RC or PC or something?
I think it was RC.
It was like something like he was like the nerdy kid too.
Yeah,
like he wasn't like.
Well, he can't do physical activities, so what the fuck else?
He's so fucking lazy. He's in a wheelchair. Is he crippled? No. He just hates the idea of walking.
And they had a dog.
Says it stresses his knees.
Fuck walking. No, and they had like a dog. But no, and then what was I going to say, though? But back to Tommy Telleretto for a second. Talrico, whatever his name is.
It's Steve Tyler's original last name.
In that show, he would always kind of like just go off the weirdest things and have the most strangest bias for a game.
Well, that guy was like, he was one of those kind of guys, like, he felt like he was really hard to please. And you never knew, like, what he was going to like, almost. Like, this guy was very unpredictable.
And he had his own, like, recording studio. I don't know if he still does. But that's how he did a lot of music. And
G4 comes by, we're taking this. No! All of it! No. It's all I got left is music. Here, you can have this cool spot soundtrack. We don't want that.
Right where you started. No. And then they had, I remember there's this really shitty game called Advent Rising. And they're trying...
That was that game they advertised the fuck out of, too.
They're making it like, it is epic as fuck. And I'll say the game had some cool concepts, because I actually went out and bought the game. But
the ad worked for you.
Well, no, I just heard good things about it. They showed... it was one of those things
Well, that's back then, too, when you were a kid, too, where you didn't really question. Like, oh, I got $60. What else am I going to spend it on?
Well, it's before,
It's probably when games were only like $50, too.
Yeah, it was like when, it was before I had, like, bills or anything like that, and you just kind of spent the money you made at work just on, like, video games, CDs, movies, whatever.
Yeah, you really just supported, like, the media industry.
Yeah, that's kind of what they really are. They're kind of really aiming at, like, probably kids from 14 to 18 for a lot of that shit right there.
Well, yeah, probably about, you probably go even a little bit farther, too, because, like, a lot of college kids, even though they always say they're poor, a lot of times they still have money, but that age where life is free and full of life, and you sometimes don't even have a car yet, so like that really just saves all your money.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool for city kids because they can just walk there. But here you have to wait to get a ride before you get a car.
Here you're
kind of in prison until you get a car here in this town. But no, unless you live like in downtown.
Well, in San Francisco, it's like you can get your allowance and fucking walk down to Tower Records and be like, oh, cool.
I miss Tower Records. No, but I guess Rasputin's now, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you can Rasputin's now.
But no, but anyway, I remember they were reviewing that game, and the game was really just kind of half-assed. It's a game where they had some cool concepts, but it was just really half-assed. Like, you would take cover behind an object, and still if a bad guy was firing at you, it would go right through the object, and hit you. And you realize you could just walk right through this object. Or it'd be kind of glitchy as fuck. Like, there'd be moments where the character would just be running, and all of a sudden he gets stuck in the ground, he just can't go nowhere. Or there'd be those areas, like these unfinished areas. Maybe they had plans for it, but you'd go up there like, I'm not supposed to go up there. Once you go on the main course, I'm going to go up here. And you just go up to this one little area, you dive down, and there's just this area of just like, there's no texture. Just this kind of like, just, like flat pixels, no texture. Just this area they'd never finish.
Is it pretty easy to get to these areas? Because some video games,
fairly easy.
You have to kind of do something like, you just jump at this right angle on this fence, and somehow, some way it throws you kind of off the game.
It was something...
But this one just seemed like you could just practically just walk to it.
It was fairly easy. I mean, it was kind of a large area in this one level. You're going down like this lava lake or something, and you would have to, there's a part where, like, I steer off course, keep on going, and it was kind of one of those things, like, it didn't want me to go up, and I just used a little boost or something. I went up and over. Like, oh, yeah, shit, he used the boost. We didn't really think about that,
Well, that game was probably one of those games because they probably put too much money into the advertising in that game, because they really blew that game out of proportion for the longest time.
And he did the music for the game.
Oh, did he?
And then when they were reviewing it,
that's fucking awesome.
Why
do you keep looking to the side?
You're like a gun cock. No, but no. He talked about like, well, I really dig the music in the game. Not saying he did the fucking music.
Yeah, that guy was. I remember like the other guy was like, I want to call him Luke, but his name was like something Luke is like.
I think it was,
Bill Lucas or
Bill
Dave
Lucas.
or something. Poor guys were like, come on, remember my name. Remember it.
He was related to George Lucas somehow, wasn't he?
Well, that's what it kind of felt like to me. It was like one of those ones you're like, oh, you just got two guys related to like really famous celebrities. Like, you guys like Steven Tyler and George Lucas, right? Yeah! Well, how do you like their cousins?
Oh, that's cool. I guess. He looked too young to be a cousin. Unless he was like a second cousin.
No, they're probably
like
like nephews. Even like Tommy, I think, looked too young to be like Steven Tyler. I think they must have been like nephews.
That was one of the original G4 shows right there.
Well, like in the beginning they had like multiple shows. There was Judgment Day, and then they hosted like 2 or 3 other ones.
Mm-hmm. Then Tech TV slowly took over, and then it slowly.
Well, then they had to merge because they realized they couldn't afford both stations. Which it's so weird to me. I just keep thinking about that. Like G4 doesn't exist anymore, and it's like, how could video games are so popular? How does a TV show or a whole channel based off video games not succeed?
I think it's one of those things. Well, it was a couple of things. I think first off, they broke away from their audience. They
did that as it went on. They just kept getting like less and less video game stuff,
and then at one point they just merged all the video game shows into X-Play.
Yeah, because it really just minus itself all the way down. It's funny because like X-Play was the original, and then it came back to around X-Play was the only one left. Yeah,
and they eventually had, because remember they made a big deal. Like you could even see, because they had like, it was kind of like, when you're younger, it was kind of cooler because it felt like it legitimized it. But they had this huge, massive, video games awards show. And, they had skits and all that. Now look at it, I'm like, oh, it was kind of overproduced and kind of douchey. But but at the time, though, it was cool to you because it was like, oh my god, they're getting, video games are actually getting this kind of amount of money and acknowledgement to them. Now, I'm not sure if they didn't make their money back. Because remember one year they had, Tommy Lee and someone else hosting it. It was some girl. Tommy Lee.
They put a lot of money into their events and stuff, and I don't know if they just had poor production and they just really put themselves over the edge. I'm guessing that's probably what happened.
The first 2 or 3 were huge, and we were because Stan Lee came out. It was right when Metal Gear Solid 3 was coming out. Stan Lee is Revolver Ocelot,
which is badass.
Yeah, and he went up and shook Hideo Kojima's hand. They gave him an honorable, a Lifetime Achievement Award or something.
They really had a lot going for themselves. And I mean, now that this has been forgotten, because for the last 5+ years though, the G4 was just nothing but X-Play was the only show left.
And then 2 years later, the Video Game Awards show was just one episode of X-Play. And it was a skit, And it was just kind of, whatever, there's no audience, no nothing. Yeah,
it's just so weird. Just it's one of those ones, video games, it's not like video games popularity died down or anything. The only thing I can really assume, though, is that most probably people that play video games got most of their information just straight off, the internet.
And a lot of people I knew that watched a lot of, that watched G4 here and there, they would get pissed off and say, oh, they're biased, or oh, they're paid off to say this or whatever. So I think that was...
Well, because sometimes you'd watch, it's sometimes I can't tell you, well, I mean, these people, it's their opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm more just watching just to see kind of it's TV about video games. That's something that's not seen enough. Mm-hmm. And it comes and it goes, and I don't know if it could ever really last.
Yeah.
But... Yeah, because, you'd see sometimes you get, Adam Sessler, and he really hates Resident Evil. He just hates Resident Evil. So we already know he's going to hate anything Resident Evil.
Unless it was Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, and then, Resident Evil 4, yeah. They're those kind of people and stuff. But, well, it was Tommy Tallarico. He hated, mostly everything else. And then whatever.
He loved Laser Shoot Larry, and he would because they would have, the notches off, and, Lucas, good gameplay, yada yada, I like the graphics, and because the way it would work, it would be I think Lucas was yellow and Tommy was red. And they have they have them bullets going down there. Lucas good graphics, smooth gameplay engine, cool characters. And you go, Tommy,
fuck the graphics. I hated the characters. Since I didn't do the music,
realistic, awesome looking puke in this one scene. I remember that was one of them.
Yeah,
the one chick had nice tits, it would just always be something like that.
that guy just always kind of seemed like he was a 15-year-old kid incarnated into a 30-year-old man's body or something.
Kind of came off that image. Yeah.
It's just kind of I'm real douchey and I'm picky about what I like, but it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, did feel that way.
And the other guy's come on, man. I mean, it was fun.
I didn't like Sonic Heroes either, but come on, man. Lucas was the one that, remember, they would have little...
Usually the breaks. Nice guy.
They had breaks in between. Here's kind of the cool thing about that show, Judgment Day, is they would do... they wouldn't just stop on video games. they do little things in between and go talk to like comic book creators and comic book artists.
Oh, they started doing that like I think like a little bit later on.
But I still thought that was pretty cool because it was in the same ballpark. And I remember, they got like some kind of posable Spider-Man action figure. You could pose any part of him, make him do anything. And they just kept on making him like flip the bird.
Yeah, I remember that.
They kept on having to blur it out. He's like, give me that fucking thing.
But it's what I'm saying. You just kind of you miss the little things like that sort of stuff. It's like even though I will say this I stopped watching like X-Play and stuff once like everything kind of went like There was a point where it just kind of just went downhill. I felt just like it felt like all the shows suffered from it.
At one point in time I just stopped watching TV altogether.
Yeah, maybe that had to do with it too. I think.
But before that though, they were trying to do this thing where they're going down. Okay, we're just playing reruns of the Man Show and Fastlane. What the fuck is Fastlane? This show that was on Fox that got canceled. Anyway,
moving on.
Yeah.
And then here's Star Trek. It's Star Trek. Yeah, it's real good. Yeah, but it's supposed to be a show about video games. Well, yeah, it's Star Trek. I mean, it's close enough to a video game.
Well, the Star Trek, the hook they had to that Star Trek show was some sort of live feed, so you can kind of like write in. And like facts would appear on the corner of the screen.
Yeah, they do like that kind of like TV pop or music video pop up thing or whatever.
It was almost kind of like TRL for Star Trek, I guess. Something like that.
Yeah, something kind of like where they pop up facts.
Or if you're online, you could like type in and say like, "Yeah, I'm on Star Trek" or whatever.
Which.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah,
I never really watched.
How can you even watch it if there's all that crap coming up?
Well, it's like they had it in the center, and they had it looked kind of like you're watching like a
CNN.
like a news station. They had all this stuff going down to the bottom, and all this stuff going on the side of the screen.
I think my dad turned that on once because he was like, "Oh, look at Star Trek." He's like, "What the hell is this? Why is there all this crap going on?"
And then they had like I think that was ultimately when they started just kind of like, I think producers like, I don't know, and they just kind of took more and more of the video game stuff away. But I think
probably what happened is, I'm guessing, they must have somehow overspent and they lost their money. And so they just started buying, like, this is cheap, we can keep our station going if we just kind of fill slots with, syndication shows.
Yeah. And then I think he also landed on things like, what was it? There was, that's a loud car driving by.
Loud and slow.
No, but, shit, where was I going with that? I think it was like they probably just ran out of money just on like how mass produced those big video game shows were by themselves, and then all of a sudden they got a little like, well, we could come back around. No, we got to play it safe. So they just started like they ultimately just ran the show down to the ground. Because I'll say I thought Attack of the Show was a good show.
No, that was another one too, and that used to be called the Screensavers back in the day. Mm-hmm. That's one of the early shows too.
Even that one was good. I still liked that one. It was just once they started bringing all like these syndication shows and just kind of like unfilter. It's like how many countdown episodes can you have?
Well, then they like changed the host too, and then it's like, okay, well, it's not video game countdowns anymore. Now it's like just anything they feel like.
Yeah.
Like, where's your favorite things to do at the beach countdown? Who the fuck cares?
What's your favorite Skittles countdown?
Yeah. I was just like, how many Skittles are there?
Mm-hmm. Probably 13 by this day and age.
Well, now it's actually quite a bit.
Every time I go to the store, it's like, where'd that come from?
Well, you get like kind of like the regular ones, then the tropical ones. I've never been a big fan of the tropical ones as much. And they had the sour ones, which have lasted longer than you'd think. Mm-hmm. And now they have, like, I think the midnight or whatever, the dark ones. Now it's like, it's late at night. You need Skittles, don't you? What else you gonna do?
You just kind of scared me.
I heard a rerun of Fastlane song.
Just this creepy guy that sits in the house, like, late at night, just breaks in, like, you want some Skittles. That's what the commercial should be.
Midnight.
Yeah. Just some guy breaks into someone's house at midnight, wants some Skittles, He's balding. He has like this big long beard, wife beater.
Scary. Well, you know what I did? I went back and I finally sat down and watched through all three of the Lord of the Rings again. The extended edition ones, though.
Oh shit! I only watched the first extended edition.
Well, this is how it was. Like my set originally was like it was so incomplete, and I think this is the main reason I haven't watched the Lord of the Rings in like 6 years, if not more by now.
Is this the course of one day?
No, it was a course over like 6 days.
Okay.
But I think that's the main reason, though, I never watched them, because I have the first and the third one in the regular editions, and I had the second one in the extended editions. And that just kind of throws off, like, the whole thing. I don't know why. Just that extra kind of half an hour or so that's probably in the second one, it makes it, like, an incomplete thing. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to buy the other ones. And now, I was going to get them on Blu-ray, but I was like, no, I'm not paying $30-something for that. And like,
fuck that.
It was like,
really? There's still $37 for those editions?
Well, that's for the whole set, though.
Oh, for the whole set.
It's not that bad a price. I just didn't want, it's like... So I was like, I'll just buy the 4-disc ones on DVD because nobody apparently wants those anymore. So I got the first one for 99 cents, and it was like mint condition. And I had to pay a little bit more for the Return of the King, which was like $8, I think.
Ain't so bad.
No,
Plus, you probably get a lot of special features.
Not
on that
so
too.
bad. Yeah, well, yeah, you get tons of special features and all that stuff. And I got it off eBay. I actually saved myself money because on Amazon the cheapest they had it for was like 14. So
wow.
I was proud of myself. I saved some money. But so I just decided, like, you know what? Fuck, I'm gonna sit down and watch all of them. So and pretty much they're split into 2 discs on those ones. So it's like you can kind of watch one disc each night because it's like 2 hours on each disc. Mm-hmm. Which really, like, they make those movies seem a lot longer than they really are because there's 25 fucking minutes of credits on every single one of them.
25 minutes of credits?
I kid you not. I mean, every single... Because the credits came up in the first one, I was like, it still says there's 25 minutes left. Like, what the fuck? So I found... It was a bunch of names at the very end.
Most expensive movie made at the time, so...
Mm-hmm.
Which it seems kind of... You gotta give them credit for that, doing like a ballsy move. Like, well, what'd you make? A bunch of B horror films in New Zealand and Frighteners with Michael J. Fox, which is a great movie, by the way. Mm-hmm. But
well, yeah, like Dead or Alive is a really cool movie and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he gets to make Lord of the Rings. But you know what? That series is one of those series. When I go back and watch them, like these are actually pretty fucking amazing movies. They are really good.
I gotta go back and watch them.
I think it's one of those ones you kind of. It's like I remember when they came out. I was like, oh, cool, Lord of the Rings. I remember the cartoon show. That's cool. And I really liked them. And then like I got like a little bit older, you're kind of like, well, you know, they're good, but you know. Star Wars is like fucking rapes it.
That is
like
one
a T-Rex.
I guess that was for our generation because
it really is our Star Wars, if it's sadly enough. But
I wasn't gonna say that. I guess you can call it our Star Wars. I don't like it nearly as much as Star Wars.
I don't think it's nearly as good as Star Wars, and I don't think it's nearly as good as things like you know if you're gonna take
it's better than the prequels. I'll definitely give it that.
Yeah. If you're gonna take like the greatest kind of like trilogies / quads because some movies are a little bit more. You can even say a little more like that. I do think it's up there in at least the top 10. Yeah. You know, I don't think it's as good as Star Wars. I don't think it's as good as Matrix.
Not good, bad, or the ugly.
Yeah, not the good, bad, the ugly. There's a I was actually literally looking at my like trilogies, like seeing which ones it's better than. Mm-hmm. But it's up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely.
I think it's actually is still pretty darn good ones, and I think the extended edition ones. I think since I haven't seen them in so long, I could like every single movie. There's about one scene I was like, oh, that wasn't in the other ones, but I really couldn't tell the difference. Mm-hmm. But they're really actually like they make them out that they're that kind of long, but it's like they're not that much longer. Those extended editions.
I think that was like one of the first times, not the first time, but I think the Lord of the Rings movies were the ones like, okay, people paid a fuck ton of money to go watch these 3-hour movies. We can probably get away with 2 hours and 45-minute movies now. Because now you see a lot more like 2.5-hour films. Because I think like Man of Steel, if that came out,
there was quite a bit. Like, you know, you say that, and I think to the 90s, and I think of how many like, because the 90s always felt like the time of like the epic movie. And it sounds weird, because here's another perfect example. I was watching, this leads to another thing. Have you ever seen the movie Wyatt Earp?
No.
With Kevin Costner?
No, I never seen that one.
It's pretty much a Wyatt Earp movie.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's who it's about.
Well, then again, you get those movies too, like The Last Boy Scout. There's no Boy Scouts in the fucking movie. When I was a kid, that was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a kid. The thing's gotta make sense, man. Kid. Like, what are you doing watching a rated R movie? It's got Bruce Willis in it.
This movie's called Superman, so I'm assuming Superman's in it.
No, it's actually a story about Batman and how he joins forces with Spider-Man. Like, it didn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. People paid to come to see it, though.
But Wyatt Earp, you were saying?
But Wyatt Earp, okay. And I think I was like, Kevin Costner is really like the epic, actor.
Did he direct that film?
He didn't direct this one, though.
He directed Postman, right?
He directed The Postman. He directed Dance with Wolves. But, like, you think about it, Dance with Wolves, that was, like, its regular version is a 3-hour one. It's 4 hours with the extended cut. Mm-hmm. Wyatt Earp, this movie was 3 hours and 10 minutes. And it was really cool, because it was kind of like, even though, like, what year did Tombstone come out?
Oh, I want to say it came out, like, in 95 or 96.
See, that's what I want to say, too. Now, I want to say it was like that, too.
This movie had clash with that one.
Yeah, well, it's like, one's like, you look at it's like, okay, this movie came out in 1994. I'm like, Tombstone either came out in 94 to 95 or 6. Somewhere in that ballpark. And I was like, and it's about the same character. Now, I know, now Tombstone is more kind of like, this is how I was kind of like thinking of it. Tombstone's almost like the Legend version. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit more action-packed. It focuses almost like that. Well, this one's more like the dramatic version. It focuses on, it just focuses straight up on just Wyatt Earp. Like, if he goes away, we don't see what the other characters really are doing.
It was kind of like the thing, like, when one movie does, like, Volcano, Mount, what was that?
Dante's Peak?
Yeah, Dante's Peak.
Now, that's, here's the thing, though, is like, yes, they're both about kind of like a volcano,
but they're
different movies. Here's the thing about this
Olympus is fallen. White House down.
White House dead down. Red Planet and Mission to Mars.
Yeah.
And Ghost of Mars, even. But the thing about this one, though, is it's the same fucking character.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like, Wyatt Earp came out, and then Billy the Kid came out because like, oh, well, let's do a couple westerns.
Yeah.
This was just like somebody had a screenplay for Wyatt Earp, and somebody else had a screenplay for Wyatt Earp. They're just like, fuck, we're gonna make both of them.
I wonder if Kurt Russell and just like Kevin Costner met up like, hey man, you want me? Can I cut with my movie first? Want to just maybe change the name of your character? It ended up like, fuck you, no, fuck you, fuck you. So they just released it at the same time, like, see who wins, cocksucker.
Well, in this one they had this one actually had that. The Tombstone has a really good cast too, but this one has almost like a super cast. Gene Hackman plays like Wyatt Earp's dad. Michael Madsen's one of the brothers.
So this is the one you never hear about. You always hear about Tombstone.
No, you always hear about Tombstone, but this one's like it's an amazing movie. It's just as good as any other like Kevin Costner epic. Who the hell else? Dennis Quaid plays
Dennis Quaid's in it?
Yeah, he plays Doc Holliday. It's got Mark Harmon in it. Bill Pullman's in it, which is funny because Bill Paxton's in like Tombstone, and I always get those two guys confused. It's just
Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton. Do they have that? Do they still have kind of like the overall like class? Because I know Wyatt Earp, he lived a long life. Or I guess long for the. Well,
he lived. He's like 84, and one of the chicks that was married to the brothers apparently lived till 99.
Okay.
She died in like 1949 or something like that.
Oh wow.
It's like in the ending thing.
Does this movie cover the big conflict in Tombstone?
Yeah, pretty much what this one does is it starts off as Wyatt Earp is like a boy, and it goes all the way like where Tombstone just is like it's just about the Tombstone, Arizona.
Because it's about him because Tombstone
just focuses on like that one kind of thing.
Because Tombstone's like we're hitting retirement and it's gonna be a simple, easy life from here on in, and then it goes.
Yeah, and that's how Tombstone is. Where this one's like the Tombstone stuff comes in about 2 hours into the movie or something, or so. So it starts off as him as a boy, then him, going out west, and him getting married, and his wife dying, and he goes like, fuck it, life sucks, I'm gonna drink, and try to, kill myself, and then he comes back, his dad pretty much busts him out jail and says, get the fuck out of here. You're in Arkansas. I'm Gene Hackman, get out of here, Kevin!
This is in the sun, Arkansas, get the fuck out.
So then you finally, there's probably about almost like an hour into it. Then you finally get to, he goes to Dodge City, which is like one of my favorite intros. Have you ever seen the movie Dodge City with Errol Flynn?
No.
One of the best parts is they're starting to get Dodge City, this will be the town of promise, the town of greatness, the best city in America. And then it just cuts to black and then opens back up and there's just yeah, boom, 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 gunfire going up, people falling out of windows and just chaos.
Dodge City's the one they do like to use in a lot of westerns.
Well, Dodge City's it's probably the original colored western. There might be something else before it, but they released the original big one that's in color.
I'll have to check that one out.
It's pretty cool though, but it is the one that kind of has all the original western archetypes and things. Mm-hmm. But still, that Wyatt Earp movie though. Back to that one though. So he's in Dodge City. Then they go to Tombstone. And then they do all the Tombstone stuff, and then they continue to where Wyatt Earp finally he goes Alaska or whatever.
Okay, in Tombstone,
goes to Alaska.
Hangs out with. Actually, no, wait.
He's in Alaska, but he's not.
Joke those off the podcast. I was trying to explain to you Insomnia. I was like, look, it's a. What was I saying about it? I was like, look, it's a Chris Nolan film. The movie he did before Batman Begins, and all right, Al Pacino, he's in Alaska. And but then you said it was a Chris Nolan film, but he's not. Just have a poster of that. Just
Alaska, but he's not.
Yeah.
The whole point of this roundabout adventure, though, is that Kevin Costner kind of you think about that Postman, Waterworld. He kind of has a lot of those big epic. Even the Robin Hood one's almost 3 hours long too. Mm-hmm. So there always has been kind of those 3 hour long ones. But for some reason, Lord of the Rings, I think. There must have been
made it more common.
Maybe in the late 90s, I think those epic movies started to kind of die out. People didn't care as much for them. And then I think in, Lord of the Rings came out 2001.
Yeah, 2001. No,
that totally brought it kind of back.
Well, I think what happened is because they would do. I mean, there's all probably since the 40s. There's been since silent films.
Well, really, the silent films. Some of those movies are longer than movies are nowadays.
Birth of a Nation was 3 hours long or something.
Yeah, well, there's some movies that are you look at them and it's Jesus Christ, they're over 6 hours long. They're 8 hours, French, silent, black and white. It's God forbid, does anybody know any editing here?
And plus, just the 2 minutes they'd hold on just the cards of just what the dialogue would be. Mm-hmm. No, but anyway, I think what happened is they probably I think Hollywood was scared. We don't want to do these big 3 hour epics because let's look at all these Kevin Costner movies because even though say Wyatt Earp it got good reviews, but it didn't make a lot of money because it lost to Tombstone. Wasn't that what happened?
You know, I think it depends. I meant to actually look up the exact date that Tombstone came out because I'm like, I can't remember.
Postman, they consider that a huge flop. They consider Waterworld a huge flop.
Yeah, they consider,
even though I like both those films.
Well, the thing why they consider it a flop is because they cost like over $100 million to make, and by now they've probably made their money back and more. But in theaters, they made under $100 million. So they made like $90 million in theaters, but they cost. I know Waterworld I think cost $150 and. Postman cost like $110. Mm-hmm. So I know Kevin Costner kind of because he really likes those big expensive ass movies that like. And the thing about those movies though is you don't get those movies anymore though.
No,
because you can see where that money goes to make those movies actually really awesome.
Yeah,
and even Lord of the Rings, even though that movie has like that big production, since there's so much CG in it, there's a lot of parts where you're just like it's just these guys are just walking on like a piece of ground surrounded by a green screen, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it doesn't look as epic as I guess it does in these other movies.
The trailer for the second one for the second Hobbit actually looks pretty good, and they're adding Legolas into it, which I don't think he was in the original.
No,
Hobbit
he was not
book.
in the book.
I think like we really got to span this thing out, and I think I heard something.
And are they still gonna do 3 of them?
They're still gonna do 3 of them.
Because I was like, well, they have the fucking dragon in the end of this one. So
what I heard the third one's gonna be, it's gonna be the end. This is just kind of like just
half an
speculation. Yeah.
Like, well, you gotta see the end, right? You're gonna pay $10 to come see the end.
Well, what I heard is the third one's gonna be it's gonna be like the tail end of the book The Hobbit, and then it's gonna go on to take in, I guess, information from other Lord of the Rings books.
Well, I was just saying, is it gonna be like
Jurassic Park 3?
It's almost okay. Or I was wondering if it's gonna do something like it's gonna make like. It finishes The Hobbit and it kind of goes into like a story of how it leads all up to the Lord of the Rings.
Something kind of like that.
Because I want to say there's like 2 or 3 other books that he wrote that are like side stories to the Lord of the Rings, I guess you can say.
He did like one called The Slytherin or whatever, which is, I think it's the Middle Earth Bible or something like that. I don't remember what it is exactly. But
Okay.
That's
it
what
just kind of explains like this is what everything is.
Yeah, there's a girl I dated who was a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and she said that book was more or less a big like Bible to Lord of the Rings, more or less.
But I want to say he did at least like 2 ones that were like actual like stories, but they weren't really
about the
connected.
Hobbits or anything.
Yeah, they had nothing to do with the regular stuff, and who knows, even they might have taken place like this is like Knights of the Old Republic kind of thing or something like that.
Ironically, The Hobbit, I think I've never been a huge Rings fan. I liked it. I mean, I loved it.
Remember, like The Hobbit, like as far as the books went, I used to think that it was like The Hobbit was actually a pretty interesting book. Mm-hmm. I remember the Lord of the Rings just being like, they're a little bit, the books themselves, I personally thought were a little bit more boring.
Well, I think because he was a linguist, so I think that going into all the detail he did go into for the for like any scene, it just took forever to read just the description of anything.
And I think the thing about the Hobbit is because that book, I want to say that book was not, it was almost like around 400 pages, so it wasn't that long.
Yeah,
and it just kind of got to the point. I thought so. I don't know. Well, see, like the movies, like you really like in that the first movie has almost like no action in that movie. Mm-hmm. There was like literally 2 main action scenes. It's like the one where they're in like the dwarf cavern, and then the very end, in the Fellowship, and that's like it. Like I mean, I guess you could say the part where they fight.
They're big action scenes. They're big action scenes.
They're big action scenes, but there really isn't any action in that first one. The second and third ones are the ones that really has the action. And really, the second one I noticed has the most amount of action.
I think the second's probably my favorite one.
That's my favorite. I think that's the most well balanced one out of all of them. Because it's like these characters, boom, action here, story, action here, story. And they're all really good, but I think that too. I think the third one does kind of do a little like we like to really extend this part, this
because it could have ended a lot sooner. It could have, I thought, at least the original cut maybe feels different from the
it still feels long, and it just I guess by this point I was like, fuck it, I expect this to be long. I've been watching the other 2 already.
It kept on fading out. I knew it was gonna be long.
That one I count. There's 4 endings in the. I literally count like each one's like how many endings is there really in this? There's 4 endings.
And there's several parts when it like faded out. Like, oh, I guess they're gonna die. Sad ending. Okay, good. Oh wait, they're still alive. Okay, and then I thought like they crowned the king. Like, okay, I guess Aragorn's the king. I guess time to go. Oh, not yet. And then they had the whole part like all the way up to like when he's on the boat, and the part when he's on the boat going away and it fades out. Like, okay, I guess that's. You see Samwise walking down the road. Fuck! Sit down. And granted, it's only on for like another minute.
Yeah, it's not that long, but yeah. I remember when I went to see that movie once. My friend RJ and his dad was there, and I remember the part where like Aragorn sang. He just like turned and looked at us and like, what the fuck? Like all this killing all this stuff, and like, what's the guy gotta do? Sing at the end? It's like it really bothered him.
It was one of those things. I don't know. I don't really care for like that kind of Celtic like man
I think
singing.
it's like what's one's like I think
Celtic man singing kind of throws me
for
off.
a modern man of America this day and age.
Guy was a war vet.
Yeah, the guy who watches all this action killing and like really enjoys this, and then the second like everything's done, it's like, why the fuck is the guy singing? It's just when he turned his head. He was like, the movie was great, but that Aragorn singing part, and it's only like 30 seconds long. It just really bothered him.
You know, there's the part like, all right, like I can handle the hobbits singing because the hobbits they ain't man like Aragorn, but
They're like little children boy man things.
the part that makes me laugh so fucking hard in that movie though, it's like the same part that makes you laugh, like the part when the guy who
Foromir's dad?
Foromir's dad gets set on fire for one. For one,
He's like, oh, burn me and my son. And
he wasn't doing that. He was trying to burn his son. He wasn't trying.
He's trying to burn himself too because he's pouring the gasoline on himself, or not the gas.
Was he?
Well, they don't have gasoline back then, but they pour, like whatever you'd have kerosene or something.
Oh, I thought he was just trying to burn his son.
No, because his son's laying down. He's like, my son, or whatever. So he's like pouring it on there, and then I think it's either Mary or Pippen. I always get kind of confused.
Trying to pull him off. The guy starts
he's
strangling
like,
him.
He's still alive. He's alive. And then
Gandalf's like, God, make this guy shut the fuck up, and he
like literally like just pokes him with a stick and just
catches on fire. And then he just runs down the world's longest hallway, and then you see from a distant shot just this tiny little like speck just on fire running, and like even there's like still a long ass wall that he runs right off the cliff and drops.
Into like the orcs. You know, they're like when the orcs like they're like,
what the fuck just happened?
What the fuck is that?
Even they were fighting on the like the chapel or whatever. They stop for a second. Dude, what the fuck is that? Just some guy running by on fire.
I never noticed it before, but I feel really bad for Boromir because the whole time in the movie, his dad's just like, Boromir, you a fucking idiot. Your brother Boromir, I love him so very much, but you, I don't love you at all. It's just like, well,
that was an Oscar performance. Nobody saw your face. I did right there.
Well, and then he's just
There's
like,
pure hate in
like,
there.
But Dad, I can go and do the ring. No, you're a fuck up. That's what Boromir's going. And then like when they find later, it's like
he's like, I'm adopting this hobbit. This is Boromir too.
I'm gonna fuck this little hobbit.
What?
I'm gonna pretend he's my second son, my real son.
Oh, fuck my real son. He pulls the hobbit closer to him.
But just like those old movies, just like you feel so bad for me. It's just like you are the fuck up. Everything you do is shit.
Was that Carl Urban that played Boromir?
I can't remember. I think it was actually
Yeah.
Boromir. I don't know who played Boromir though.
Boromir. That was Sean Bean. But he's kind of he's huge in England, but here he's kind of like, yeah, you're cool, but
and here he's treated like Boromir.
Yeah. You get the first movie, you get a flashback. That's about it.
Well, it's like I know one scene. I don't think that was in Return of the King, the regular edition one though,
Mm-hmm.
as it shows just like it kind of like right when like Boromir captures like Frodo and Sam, he kind of goes to like a little flashback of him and his brother. I think, and that's where I don't think in the original cut they had as much of the father going, "You're a fucking idiot," because there was a lot more of that in this one. I just never noticed it before.
He just rubbed it in. Like, is it kind of like in Stand By Me, like the wrong son died.
No, you mean isn't that what? I thought that was
that comedy, but there's also the part where the kid has the dream. That was that.
I thought that was in the Johnny Cash movie.
The Johnny Cash. Oh, there's the Johnny Cash ripoff where what happens is whenever something bad happens, the dad would just pop up. Wrong son died and walks out the room. He says that in Johnny Cash, and there's in Stand By Me when he has the dream. And they're burying like teenage John Cusack. They're burying the sack, and he just turns to like, you should be in there or something like that. I don't remember what it was.
And then the other thing I think is really funny. I love how Gandalf just fucking hates Pippin.
He just hates him
because he just like there's looks he gives to Pippin. They're just like, why the. It's almost
he's
like
so
what's
cool and collective with everybody else. I think
like,
he has to put it on this one.
There's one like, Pippin, I'm just gonna knock your head against a stone wall if you do something stupid. It's just like the one guy's like, he's like, and he looks at Frodo's like, if he wasn't your friend, I would fucking kill this guy right here.
I would impel him with this fucking stick, is what I do.
I hate this fucking hobbit. I love all the other hobbits, but this Pippin.
And there's the one where he goes up, like they're in the cave in the first one. He like twists the arrow that's in the corpse and it falls down.
It just keeps falling. Shit just keeps falling.
They all just close their eyes, like, oh shit, you know. I'd say something, but Gandalf is gonna say it all, like, you fuck. He gave him a chance, you know. You fuck up, you know.
And then like, you
know, he's just riding with him. He's like, why he has this look on his face when they're riding on the horse, like, why am I stuck with this little fucker?
You know, it's so like the part where he's like, where Pippin's like, but Boromir saved our lives and all this stuff, and then he just like kicks him, like, you shut the fuck up, boy.
I don't want to deal with this asshole any more than I have to. Just shut the fuck up.
Well, we had
I'll be your son.
We had a fucking conversation outside. What the fuck did I say? I said, just don't say anything. You're a fucking idiot.
I had to quit smoking pot since I became Gandalf the White, alright? I can't take this fucking stress anymore. Shut the fuck up. Did he smoke pot? Did he still smoke?
Everybody smokes pot, yeah.
No, but did he still smoke it when he was Gandalf?
Yeah, he still did.
He did?
Because there's a part where he's there, like, at the castle with Pippin, and he just has this look on his face, like, fuck. He's like sitting on like the ledge, like
his pipe still.
Yeah, and I think Pippin's like head's like over like the ledge, like because he's like, oh, can I put me chin on here?
He's like, I really want to. You know, when he looks at it, the thought of throwing him over the edge ran through his mind.
They should always have a scene like like a True Lies when Arnold Schwarzenegger's driving with like the guy in the Corvette. He's like, man, this one chick's just got this pussy, you know, he got an ass like a little baby boy, and then like Arnold Schwarzenegger just like punches him in the face
and kills him. Yeah,
and then it cuts back. It's like, oh, he didn't actually do it. So like. Have Gandalf just like there, just like shoves him off the edge, like whoa!
Make it even more violent. Just like he like bashes his head with his head's just on the like his chin slams against metal. He's like his mouth's big. He's all like on the ground scream. He starts beating him like brutally.
And then just goes back to him smoking.
He's like smokes even more. This is good Elven Wood Ganj.
I just always like. I wonder how many people like actually became like, dude, like Lord of the Rings, they smoking that. I should smoke, because you know that does that to people. I mean, I had a friend who's like, he's like, I smoke a cigar. Why? Because Big Boss did.
Josh Bullock?
Yeah.
Okay. I just had to run through my head for a second. Like, yeah, all right.
you know, there's gotta be so many people that's like, you know what? Merry and Pippin and even Gandalf smokes weed.
Merry and Pippin, that's not the first one you want to go to. I think you want to go to Aragorn, Gandalf, Gimli, you know.
Well, there might be some people out there like, you know, I'm not an Aragorn, I'm not a Gandalf, but I could be a Merry and Pippin.
You don't want to. You should strive higher. That's like saying...
It's like, no, that... Striving higher seems like work. You know, I'm not, you know, born again king. I'm not
that's saying
an old wizard. I'm just gonna accept who I am. I'm a guy who just happens to be at the right place at the right time.
You can be a Sam. Well, you can strive to be a Sam. Maybe Frodo. But Merry and Pippin, aim higher than that. That's like saying, like, you know what? I could be the CEO to this building right here.
I'll be the doorman.
I'll be the doorman. I'll happily be the doorman.
Don't move up. Just like I don't care.
Yeah, you could be like Gimli, who probably like upper division manager or something like that, or Gandalf, second in command or something. But you don't want to be Merry and Pippin.
No, those are like the characters that just like, but they really are. I bet you they're the most relatable characters to the average Joe.
Probably. I like Sam. I like Sam.
You know what I was thinking? It's like, you know what? If Sam was just given the ring in the beginning, I bet you he would have fucking covered that ground twice as fast. He would have got it done real quick and easy. Everybody could have gone home.
He needed that emotional drive, I think. I think
so. I think it's the thing about Sam, though, is like, because you just realize later on, it's like, Sam's like the only, like, Frodo's like, oh, he's just laying here. Oh, Sam.
What the fuck was that, Sam or Frodo?
That's Frodo. And Sam's just like, come on, Mr. Frodo, we can do it. We can do it. Look at me, I'm a fucking pack mule.
He needed, like, Sam kind of needed...
Frodo's not carrying a fucking thing but that ring. Sam has literally got an entire, like, kitchenette on his back. You know, he's carrying both sleeping bags.
You know, Frodo's maybe it's kind of like one of those things like...
He's fucking carrying Frodo at the end of the movie.
Yeah. You know, like Sam. Maybe Sam's like, look, dude, can you maybe carry just this one bag? This one bag. I'll carry everything else.
Well, Sam, it's a great burden.
I got the ring. You know.
It's a heavy burden. Look, it hurts my neck.
I think I'm turning evil. He starts to lean down like, okay,
Sam, I can't help. I'm gonna put the ring on. I'm putting it on.
Don't. Like, okay. So
Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
I love you, Sam.
He needs to walk, and then he's like, fuck, because there always is that one character that's there. I think Sam, I think in some part of him, they needed, like, Gollum, because he needed something to take his anger out on.
Yeah, I feel like...
Touch the ring and I'll skull fuck you. We kind of needed that there.
You know what part's hilarious in that movie, though, too, is, like, when they capture, like, when Boromir captures, like, Frodo and Sam, and then they're just, like, they're fucking, like, in a back room just beating the shit out of Gollum.
That's
like,
right.
no fucking reason. It's just, this one guy's just punched him, and the other guy's, like, kicking him, he's like, ah!
You do feel bad for him in parts.
You feel a little bad for him. Just getting the shit fucking kicked.
Our whole kingdom was just killed.
My father never loved me.
Our whole kingdom was just destroyed. I have daddy issues. Something's got to get kicked. Let's kick the scrawny green
that really
thing
fucking ugly looking thing
that no one clearly cares about.
I like him. Oh, fucking Frodo. There's also that part too where Sam's just like, you almost just want to be like, Frodo, you're a fucking idiot. That thing.
That's what happened if that thing wasn't there. Because he needs something to put all that anger towards.
Well, I think like the thing that makes Sam really angry though is Gollum. Because really, Gollum's just there to be like, I
think he's just one of those guys. He's
the fat one will take it.
Fuck you, fatty. I really.
I'm not fat. Well, just eat the elven bread.
I'm just big boned.
Well, Sam doesn't lose like a single pound on this entire journey, and I know that elven bread's supposed to fill you up.
Well, they're hobbits. I think they all stay just kind of thin. Oh, they all stay fat. I mean,
well, Frodo's
I think Sam's like the one hobbit. It's like, I could do sit-ups when I wake up in the morning. I probably could do a few push-ups before bed. But really, what's the fucking point? I'm like swimming upstream here. It's not in my genetic code.
Look at this. I fucking walked across Middle Earth and I didn't lose a single pound.
Yeah.
There was just no, I'm just gonna live who I am.
Yeah, exactly. He's not in denial about it. I think that if Gollum wasn't there, because I think Sam, he's just one of those guys that's overly optimistic and
well,
just
he really
way
is. He's like, Frodo. He's like, Mr. Frodo, I'm saving it for the trip back.
And then there's the whole. Then he has that whole like. Gollum's his bridge. Like deep down, he's thinking, thank God Gollum's. Maybe he's like sneaking up behind Gollum when he's sleeping. Like Sam has like big wide eyes, just like punches Gollum in the back of the neck and goes back to sleep. It's like, ah! It was the fat one. That's why Gollum. He just needs to release it,
He needs to release some fucking tension.
Yeah. He doesn't need to feel bad. He's just like, well, this thing is this ugly, like green gray thing that no one gives a flying fuck about. So if I kick the shit out of it, like maybe he was the one that went to like Boromir, just like, I know how you guys can get some tension out. Just leads around like a cave. Because they were in a cave when that happened, weren't they?
Yeah, it's like in a cave. Well, I think they're in like that town, but it's like in a cave when they're beating the shit out of him.
He's watched from a distance, just jerking off like, yes.
That's right. You sleep, Mr. Frodo. You don't need to see this.
Yeah. But actually, I want to say this real quick. This is completely off the rings. It's completely off Lord of the Rings, but I actually saw a movie a little bit ago, and this is actually where I saw the new Hobbit trailer at.
We saw it on Superman.
We saw it on Superman? Okay, well, I also saw
we just forgot to talk about it, though.
Because we were just so
Supermanified.
Well,
speaking of Superman, there's something I want to say. We never mentioned it. What about that death scene of, like...
General Zod?
No, not General Zod. Of Kevin Costner, Superman's Earth father. The tornado thing. What do you think about that? That was a pretty... I like the way that scene was set up.
I guess the one thing I have with that, the more I thought about that movie, I still like that movie a lot. I'd still probably say there is that classicness to... I'm not taking anything away from the original Donner flick, because I love the first two Donner films still. Mm-hmm. And I think that this movie, I mean, people online would thrash me for saying this, but I think this movie, it doesn't exactly have that classicness, but I think in its own way, it can be just as good. It's just good in different ways.
That's what I think. I think both those movies are both really amazing movies. They're just, they're good in a different, and I like, that's the thing I kind of almost like about the new one, is I like how it isn't just the same thing over again. They really try to give you something different.
My only real problem, and that actually includes, I guess the one problem I kind of have, even though I think Kevin Costner was a good choice for Kent, I think Kent was a little, I understand he had a love for his son, and he knew his son was going to do something great, but at the same time, he had this whole kind of like, I don't think he really captured, that's the one thing I think this movie kind of fucked up on. I don't think he kind of captured the Jonathan Kentness to where he wants to help people. Because there's that line, even though I laughed at that line, he's like, should I just let him die? Yeah, fuck them kids.
Probably. Well, yeah.
That Pete Ross kid's fucking gonna grow up to work at IHOP, let's be honest.
You're doing him a favor.
So,
no, there is
that Lana chick.
I think the whole point is supposed to be that, like, the way that this kind of Jonathan Kent is supposed to be is that, like, he's afraid that his son is going to be put on, like some Salem witch trial kind of thing. I think that's how he looks at it. Or it's going to be like one of those ones, kind of like in Flashpoint, like they're going to fucking lock you up and they'll find a way to keep you so that you can never come out. I think that's the fear that he has. I understand that, but I think my thing is, I understand that, and I don't think that's horrible, but I think it's kind of like Jonathan Kent's thing is to rise and overcome that to do what's better for man. Mm-hmm. And it didn't ruin the movie for me. And that whole part when he died, I'm like, you could have saved him. But... Well, the whole point it's kind of like the Spider-Man thing. It's like, with all this power and all this strength, there's the one person I couldn't save.
Well, in that situation, he could have just done it, like, because Superman...
Maybe
he didn't have that speed by that point.
I think that's supposed to be, he was still, like, he was Boy Man still at the moment.
Boy Man?
He wasn't Superman yet, he was just Boy Man.
Boy Man of Steel. No, but...
He can't be Superboy, because that'd be confusing.
But something I will defend the movie on, because this is actually another thing I've heard on a lot.
I do like in the Richard Donner one, though, how, like, he just dies from a heart attack. Because, really that's something that Superman can't do anything about.
Uh-huh. That's the
and I think that's what made that so it's such a simple yet real thing. Like, he's dead. And what can you do?
That is one thing right there. Yeah, it's a good example. The other thing I think the movie kind of, because I don't think there's too much action, because really without that action, without that big long action scene, because that big long action scene at the end really kind of made up for lack of action earlier on in the movie.
It was different action, because I guess you got in the very
it was still good.
You got Jor-El fighting, which is pretty badass.
You had Jor-El fighting, and that was all cool. Then you had him saving the oil tanker, which was pretty quick. But still, really cool scene. I'm not complaining. I thought, like, by the point where I said this movie should probably pick up pretty soon, and then I was still enjoying it. By right when I thought this movie should pick up, that's when Lois Lane and Clark Kent go up to the spaceship, and from there on in,
it's pretty much action.
And the action is moved by the story. It's just not like punching each other. People said it's just punching each other in the face for like the remainder of the movie. Well, no, it's not like, that. The story's moving along.
When people say that's like those people must not be Superman fans. I'm guessing.
Well, even people who claim to be hardcore Superman fans, which they seem like it from what they said. But at the same time, though, it's the biggest complaint I heard, which I think I have a defense for this, but a lot of people complained, even like because they have a new Fat Man on Batman.
There must just be this back of the mind thing. It's like it's fucking Zack Snyder.
Maybe
like must breed hate. Breed hate.
The one thing that I will kind of say, a lot of people are. I guess they could have summed it up quickly with a few words, which to alleviate any worries. But there's a whole part. People like during that last battle, Superman probably killed just as many people as the Kryptonians did.
Oh, with all the destruction.
Which I have to say, that whole area was fucked up by the time he got there. They had a little thing pounding down in the ground.
I think that the whole point is the fact that it's just like, if Superman didn't show up, everybody would have died.
There's that, but
that's kind of what happened.
At the same time, though, if you want to get, bring in Superman politics of it,
that's like that old like Fleischer cartoon one where like he pulls the two guys out of the plane and the plane fucking crashes into a building.
Yeah,
it's like Superman saves 2 people, kills 1,000 others.
Here's my thing with that. We've seen this shit since the comics. This is the first time a live-action movie has shown it. There's been destruction and all this kind of shit to this level in the comics, in the cartoons, in the video games. It's just the first time in live-action we've seen it, and it presented it seriously. Cool. Yeah. It presented it seriously. And at the same time, I believe that anybody who was probably in that vicinity by that point was generally probably dead, because they had that pound ray that was coming down.
The rape ray going.
The rape ray was going boom, boom. that was more or less just like plowing the fucking earth.
Yeah, it was really just like fucking the earth. It was really like two
It was
things fucking the
DP.
earth.
It was DP. It was
both sides just getting fucked from each.
Yeah. So, well, the thing was DPing the earth right there. He's fighting in an area which generally looks kind of, because he was crashing
like a
through
war zone
buildings.
anyway.
It already looked like a war zone. I believe anybody who was in that was dead.
Was it that or they evacuated early? Or
If I remember correctly, there's the part where they land in like the hall. I think it was like
the very end where he like kills
lands
him.
in the hall and he like snaps his neck, which people complain about that, which I say he's killed Doomsday and he killed
the whole point about Superman though is like that he's not Batman where he like, because Batman would just go like good thing I had that mirrored batarang on me. Yeah. Something like that. But Superman, the whole point of Superman is like he will, if that's the only option that's left, he will kill for the greater good in the sense that like he doesn't want a bunch of innocent people to die. If somebody's gonna have to die, it's got to be. It's
barely ever happened, but it happened in Doomsday. He killed Doomsday.
It's kind of like Green Arrow will do the same thing too. It's like if worst comes to worst.
Batman's the one person, with the exception of Dark Knight Returns, where it didn't happen. But they come up with an excuse around it, like, oh, they were already dead. They were zombie owl people or whatever.
Oh yeah, well, Batman seems that he doesn't have a problem killing like aliens for some reason. I don't know, because I remember there was one comic where he just it's a fucking alien. It's like, he's gonna come after me. He just pulls the alien's laser gun out and shoots it.
But it didn't die, though.
It didn't die, but still, like, the whole point of his intent was to kill.
Yeah.
Or one part I always like, though, is, like, it's in the Batman Beyond movie. Mm-hmm. Where, like, once he sees, like, what happened to, like, Jason Todd.
That was Tim Drake.
Tim Drake, sorry.
It's so good.
Tim Drake. Like, when he throws that batarang or whatever, it goes right at, like, the Joker's head. Like, his entire purpose in that motive was to kill. The Joker just
has those moments where he says, I am going to kill, but then it happens at the last minute, somebody comes and says, don't do it. Because there are times where he was battling Black Mask, in, like, War Games, he was battling Black Mask to the death. He said, I'm going to kill you, Mask. I'm going to end this once and for all, that whole spiel. And then Barbara Gordon... She got knocked out of her wheelchair. She didn't go anywhere, so he had an option: either kill Black Mask or save Barbara Gordon, which is save Barbara Gordon, of course. So that's the thing right there. Batman just in the actual chronology has yet to kill, but Superman has killed a few times. I know they try and keep it a very rare thing when he does kill. But the big thing with that is, I believe that most of the people were evacuated out of there or killed.
Or they're dead already.
Yeah, because when he was battling, with the exception of where he was trying to kill that one family, which I think he got knocked into a different like building somewhere. All the buildings he were crashing into, I didn't really see anybody really in there.
No, and it's one of those ones like, what do people expect? I mean, it's like one of those ones like, well, what can he do? You know what I mean? The whole point is he's got to stop this. It's not like he's just, picking up a building and smashing Zod with it or something like, who the fuck cares about these people in this, motorhome?
If you want to get really technical, he has super hearing and all that stuff. He could probably direct the battle to where he knows there's no people.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I think. And if we didn't really see Superman
I feel like, if you're saying that, I still picture you don't know enough about Superman.
Yeah. I think some people just feel, I don't know what it is.
I mean, I know that there's always that thing. I think it's just a human nature fear. It's a fear of man, that like the fear of change.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people have, because it's not like, it's not Superman as in like the olden days Superman. Mm-hmm. It's something different, but still the same feeling of like the olden days. Mm-hmm. It still makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. And I think that's still a great film. I think there are some moments thinking about it, because I actually heard the Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman actually talked about it on Fat Man on Batman.
Well, it's like episode 40 or something.
Yeah. And generally, it was kind of like Ralph Garman brought up some good points. It was kind of like a repeat of The Dark Knight Rises.
Ralph Garman not like it nearly as much. It didn't download yet on my thing, so...
He didn't like it nearly as much. He made some good points, but there are some points that are like, look a little bit more into it. But Kevin Smith was ultimately pretty much like, hey man, it was a good movie. I liked it. I could have gone a little bit more at this, but it was still a good flick. And anything that pushes us forward to a Justice League movie, I'm all down with. And that was Kevin Smith's opinion. Ralph Garman, he's like, look, it sounds like I hated it. I liked it. I wasn't amazed by it, but I liked it. But the things that bothered me really bothered me. And pretty much the things I was saying was that. And he did know his Superman, but it just almost seemed like it didn't come into play, which I'm not giving him shit.
He is a little bit nitpicky.
I'm not giving him shit because I listen to Hollywood Babylon. I think it's funny, I'm not downing anybody who doesn't think what I'm thinking. I'm just saying that's what I think they intended when they made this movie. And at the same time, it's cool to see a movie. Like, I think the Marvel films, I'll say majority of them, I think are good, but they almost have, and Ralph Garman made this example. This is a good example. They almost have kind of like a Raiders of the Lost Ark thing. The better ones do, where it's kind of like there's levity to it, but there is this big grand scale adventure. Mm-hmm. And the ones that have too much levity is like Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, and parts of Avengers, even though I think Avengers is the best one. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that this movie, I give movies credit for doing that. I understand if you want to add levity to it, but I think this movie, the fact that it came out and said, like, if you want to add a little bit of levity to it, a little bit more, okay. But I think the fact this movie's treating it kind of like this is like taking the subject matter seriously, and it's treating it as if this was a real world problem, which I know it's not. We're escaping, but at the same time, it's kind of cool to see something like we respect it enough not to put in
joke in every like 2, 3 lines.
Yeah, which I enjoyed Iron Man 3, but there was too much comedy in it. Like, all right, the chick that Iron Man had sort of a romance with died. 2 minutes later, he's cracking jokes. So it's kind of like that kind of shit. That kind of like. I think kind of holds down some of the Marvel movies to me.
Well, yeah, to me it's like...
Majority of them are good, but that's the thing.
It's like, if you just kind of take them, it's like, they're not bad. And these are the Marvel Studios movies. I notice the other ones don't seem to have that comedy in them as much. Like, the Spider-Man ones don't have, like a joke.
Spider-Man does, but not as much. And Spider-Man works with levity, because Spider-Man has a lot of levity in it already. That works.
What I mean, though, is it doesn't have a bunch of jokes that don't feel, like, natural in them.
Yeah.
And then the X-Men don't have that really either. There's parts you laugh. I mean, that's like in any movie, though. Mm-hmm. Unless you have those really strange, like, weird movies. Like, any movie doesn't make you laugh at least once, so there's something wrong with those movies. I don't know. Like, those movies, I don't know about those.
You can even laugh during Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, well, yeah, that movie's hilarious.
I want to actually talk about something else for a second. Is there anything else you want to say on Superman?
No, it was just really good. You can talk about Superman forever. I feel like it's like Dark Knight Rises. You can talk about it forever. But it's much better than Dark Knight Rises.
It is better than Dark Knight Rises. I think that's still one of my favorite trilogies. The Christopher Nolan Batman franchise is one of my favorite trilogies. But the first two, perfect. Dark Knight Rises, really good movie. That's
kind of how a lot of trilogies are, though. So sometimes they're not always perfect, but that doesn't really...
There's that one. It's just too bad.
There's that one that's not like... And it's not like it's a bad movie. It's just not as good as the other ones.
Yeah. Which we walked out of it. It was we were kind of like saying, it's
it was one of those where you kind of like had to lie to yourself a bit, but then when you kind of sat down and thought about it, you're like, well, it's still a good movie, but there's just some things that just aren't Batman-y enough, and I guess that's kind of like...
We didn't beat that dead horse, we killed it, Necronomicon that shit, killed it again, Necronomicon it again, and we're still going, so...
And we chased it into hell.
Yeah. Where are you going?
We're not done with you yet!
Why don't they just leave me alone?
But what were you going to say?
I actually saw...
This is the end?
Yeah, I sent you a text saying it was good. Like, I was going to ask you to see that, which
I was literally, like, it was... I remember because it was like one of those, like, I had some time. I was like, it came out like 2 days before Superman. I was like, oh, man, you should just go see this one. It does look interesting. And then after Superman, I was like, oh, there's my money.
Well, I didn't think you'd want to see it, but then...
It's one of those movies, like, it's really, like, the only thing, it's like, I don't really mind anybody else. Just something Seth Rogen can be a little bit annoying.
Well, here I'm gonna actually give him credit because him and I think Evan Goldberg is the writer. They actually both directed the movie.
Huh.
Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg directed this movie, and I'll say this: this is actually a pretty. It's not like an amazing movie, but it was actually pretty good. And the thing about it, for those of you who haven't seen the trailer, haven't seen the flick, what ends up happening is the end of the world happens with, and all these actors are playing themselves. It's generally you have. I don't think Judd Apatow really had a hand in this. I didn't see his name in the credits or anything, but it's a lot of those Judd Apatow actors. Mm-hmm. And the main people it focuses on is Seth Rogen, James Franco, because I think they needed a pretty guy in the bunch. Danny McBride, Craig Robertson, Jay. I'm forgetting his last name, but he was the guy who got with Kristen. What's that girl Cisco likes from Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Krista.
I know who it is. I can't.
The chick from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He hooks up because she's in Fanboys too. He hooks up with her at the end. The really skinny guy he had glasses. He also voiced the dragon.
Isn't he in Tropic Thunder too?
Tropic Thunder, yeah, he's the
nerdy guy.
Nerdy guy in Tropic Thunder, and he voiced the main character in How to Train Your Dragon. So, and then there's more I'm forgetting. That's fun.
Well, there's a lot of people in that movie.
Well, there's those are the main guys, and then Jonah Hill. Those are the main 6 guys. Everybody else is just a cameo. Mm-hmm. In the movie, it's kind of in 3 acts. The first act, it's kind of like plays out kind of like one of these movies. And what happens is, it's kind of cool because Jay of all people, is the main character of the movie, which is kind of cool. They gave the less known actor, who everybody else in this movie, you know him by this point.
Yeah.
You kind of like, oh, right, that guy. I can't even remember his last name. But
exactly.
He's the main character, and Seth Rogen wrote that for him. And Seth Rogen, they're all playing kind of like characters of themselves. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Seth Rogen, he's actually not as jokey. He still says some jokes and one-liners. He's not all that bad in this movie. Seth Rogen never really bothered me. I know he bothered you, but I kind of look for the things that I think bother you about him, and I didn't really see him in this movie.
Okay. Mainly the things that bother me is just like, and a lot of times it's like, you notice he kind of makes himself, is just like, he makes himself look like he's the really cool guy.
Oh, not in this movie.
Okay, good.
In this movie,
that's the one thing that always bothers me, is a lot of times, like, even if he's making fun of himself, he still makes himself out like, dude, I'm the really cool guy. Everybody thinks I'm funny.
Not so much in this movie. He actually kind of makes himself a little bit of a dick in this movie, which he kind of writes himself that way. So you got to give him credit for that. And here's what's kind of cool about it. When they went to the apocalypse, it's just not some random apocalypse. And you don't see very many movies do this. It's the biblical apocalypse. Uh-huh. And so there's like demons and shit running around. And there's a part in the trailer, because what happens is, there's a part in the trailer where you see these blue lights shine down on people. And that's the part where in the Bible they say you get lifted and you get taken to heaven. Now, I'm not really a religious person, but you don't really see that in movies too much anymore.
No, they don't really make
And everybody else, so of course, most of the people in Hollywood are still left there. and it's actually, they have a lot of jokes, and people get killed off one by one, like Jason Segel. The first, third of the movie, not even a third, maybe a little less, it's people at this party at James Franco's, and a bunch of them die, and this pit opens, and you see Jonah Hill get killed brutally. You see Jason, he's like a coke and sex fiend.
Who, Jonah Hill?
Michael Cera.
No, that's funny.
Did I say Jonah Hill? I meant Michael Cera.
Oh, you said Jonah Hill.
I meant Michael Cera. He dies brutally. There's at some point he's doing coke off a table. He slaps Rihanna in the ass, and then later I think Jay walks into the bathroom and Michael Cera's getting his dick sucked, and the girl snorting coke off his ass. He's like, you wait. He says, "You wait your turn now." He pulls up a Capri Sun, starts to sip it, and then later he's all like, "Hey guys, where's my fucking phone?" This hole is while the Hollywood Hills are on fire, all this shit's going on. Someone stole my fucking phone. Then all of a sudden the ground cracks, a lamppost comes up, impales him. then a hole starts, so he gets kind of lifted back up, and his phone rings like, "Oh, that's embarrassing." He just pulls out the phone, and then he just goes down to this pit that goes to hell. Huh. You see a bunch of these Judd Apatow characters get killed off, and then the majority of the movie, it's just them kind of hiding out in this in James Franco's house. And James Franco, he starts off as kind of like, "Hey guys, I'm all about art. I'm all about we're one, we're a unity, man." He starts off like that. Then as soon as shit goes bad, he's like, "Fuck this, man. We're all fucking dead." He just drops all that all together.
It's just like an act.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And Danny McBride's generally playing Danny McBride.
In any movie.
Kind of the asshole that fucks it up for everybody.
Yeah, this is Danny McBride in any movie.
Yeah, and then Craig Robertson plays, the likable guy. And Jonah Hill, he plays the overly likable guy. Maybe it's something more of a joke between the different actors, but he's way too nice. "Hey guys, how's it going?" Jay hates Jonah Hill, but he's so nice to him. He's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" Hugs him, kisses him on the cheek. "Oh, that's great. Thank you, Jonah."
Funny.
And he just hates him so much. He just hates Jonah so much. And it actually gets kind of darker, because there's a scene where they actually have a homage to Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, that's funny.
And what happens is Jonah Hill, because we find after all this shit goes down, the whole group kind of breaks apart. They're still in the house, but they kind of break apart, and they're just like, fuck you. They kind of, they're all pissed off at each other. And people actually die off as the movie goes on. And Jonah Hill actually goes into because he's way too smiley and happy the whole time. There's this moment where they're shown by himself. They're playing this kind of creepy ding. It's not this, but it's almost kind of like the Yoshi Story song that
yeah.
That song. It's something like that. He sits there, he's praying, he's like, "Dear God, please kill Jay. I hate him so much." This is Jonah Hill from Moneyball, by the way. So and then at that moment they actually have a part. You see a silhouette of Satan in the room sleeping, and it's sort of filmed he's fully clothed, thank God, but it's sort of filmed the rape scene in Rosemary's Baby. And as it's getting on him, you just see he has this huge fucking devil's cock. They even show they even kind of take a little bit of footage from the part when she's looking in the eyes, see the red eyes. He's like, those eyes, this must be a dream. He says that, and they show that part. Then he's running through the house possessed, chasing people at one point.
That's funny.
At some point, this is actually kind of like the later part of the movie. They kind of run out of water and food. It's like, we got to go check the neighbor's house. So they go to the neighbor's house, and this is between Jay and Craig Robinson. And there's like a hellhound of some sort just chasing him through the house. And so it's kind of like, even if it's not funny, there's generally something interesting.
There's something going on that's interesting, and it's different.
It's kind of one of those movies, yeah, because it wasn't like, it was a funny movie. It wasn't like constantly cracking up, but I like Into the World movies. And I don't see very many biblical Into the World films.
No, you don't as much. It's mostly always like some other, like, it's more like a realistic Into the World.
Yeah, and this was still funny, and this was still like it still had that kind of there's still some total like Seth Rogen type of humor in it, which, I mean, that's kind of hit and miss with me. In this case, it worked. But like there's like, by Seth Rogen, I don't just mean him. I just mean these type of movies in general. But there's like another part where it's what ultimately happens is a few of them get killed off, and by this point, I won't say everybody, but they kind of get down there. They actually have to leave the house. The house crumpled apart, and Danny McBride got kicked out of the house for being Danny McBride.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're driving, and all of a sudden like this RV covered like in human skulls and trash just hits their car, flips it over. They get out. And then all of a sudden you see Dan McBride is like this big like warlord of the wasteland kind of thing. He's like, you guys are still alive? Holy shit. Oh my God, that blows my mind. Like, what are you? He's just, well, I'm a cannibal. I'm a cannibal warlord now. I'm just kind of into it. It's actually pretty cool. He says, I want you guys to meet something. Like, a bunch of other cannibals come out. Like, I want you to meet something. He like pulls out like, this is Channing. And all of a sudden like this, there's like this like kind of gimp thing. He has like this like thing. It has like a Mucho Libre mask. He pulls it off. It's Channing Tatum.
That's funny.
And he's like, he says, Channing, sit. He gets down, like, he like puts his ass in the air. He's like, see that? I can slide right into that shit, no problem.
That's pretty funny.
So, it's actually a pretty good flick.
It sounds interesting and different. Because those movies I always feel like they can be hit or miss. Like a lot of times I always feel like it's like, oh, they got some funny stuff in them, but they weren't like amazing.
I'll say it wasn't the funniest movie in the world. I thought it was funny enough. It's more than anything, for me, I just liked the concept of the movie.
Well, I think that concept's like, I think that's the selling point of that movie more than anything.
There's also another funny part where earlier in the movie they're kind of stoned and talking like, we should make Pineapple Express 2, and they're just joking. And but then later they get bored and they on like a home video camera they make Pineapple Express 2. And it's like, you know, there's like a car chase. You're just chasing like they're pulling Hot Wheels by strings and all that.
Oh, that's funny.
They're all like watching it like stoned, like, you know, we should make more of our movies or our sequels. Like, not Your Highness 2, not fucking happening.
That's pretty funny.
And then there's another part. I think this part like will actually be pretty funny. What ends up happening is they find out you can get to heaven if you prove you're a good person. Because the movie actually does have a moral to the end of it, which is everybody's kind of like in some way faking it. A few of them manage to get up to heaven by not pretending, but by realizing they're good people and acknowledging their flaws. Like Jay says, like, he says his flaws. He's kind of spiteful, and he kind of has this whole high and mighty feel because he's kind of like the one who's kind of like, I don't like this whole LA lifestyle. I don't like this whole thing. I'm just not into it. And he's kind of a dick about it. So, in acknowledging that and saying he's sorry, he manages to get up. Seth Rogen kind of realizes that he can be kind of a dick sometimes, and he goes up too. And Craig Robinson, I just told you the three people who make it. Though Craig Robinson already got up there, and when they get there, everything, you know, just kind of like, because they go to heaven, like, oh man, everything's awesome. You know, there's just this big party going on. He's just like, you could think of anything you want, anything. You could have it right now. Is this anything? All of a sudden, like, Backstreet's Back starts to play. The Backstreet Boys walk in. They have this huge song and dance number at the end with the Backstreet Boys.
That's badass.
So,
that's cool.
Then right after that, it ends with the Black Sabbath song.
Huh. That still sounds like a pretty interesting one.
I recommend it. I'd say I used my free movie ticket for it. So
I didn't pay for it, but
I feel a little bad that I didn't pay. I mean, I would have paid for it. I liked it. If you like those kind of Seth Rogen, like Judd Apatow type comedies.
Well, I think those free movie tickets still pay for it anyways. Like, you didn't pay for it, but I think Regal has to pay
for it.
Well,
that's good because I knew that movie wasn't making any money opening the same week as Man of Steel.
Well, I think that's why they opened up 2 days prior. They're like, at least we can try to get somebody in.
Yeah.
But...
Which I recommend it. I think you'd like it. I'm not gonna say you'll love it, but I think you'll like it.
No, yeah, because I've never really loved any of those movies, but I've always enjoyed some of them. So.
I always really liked Superbad. I thought Superbad was really good.
So Superbad was pretty good, but some of the other ones, it's kind of like Get Him to the Greek. I thought was like okay. Really, the music in that movie is much better than the movie itself.
I liked Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I thought Forgetting Sarah Marshall was pretty good.
That one was not bad. But yeah, it's like a lot of them. It's like I guess it's the kind of things like. they're good. They're just not really amazing. I guess that's how I guess a lot of the kind of comedy in general. I think that's kind of how it is.
But on the one side, though, it's kind of cool that they actually did this themselves because it was. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I did not see Judd Apatow's name in there anywhere. So I believe it was just them kind of getting together doing this thing. And the fact they're making fun of themselves too.
Yeah, it's a different concept. I think that's it.
And Jonah Hill getting possessed and kind of like because he was kind of like they made some sort of homages to Exorcist in there too and all that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's one movie I actually just watched. There's actually another Kevin Costner movie. There's a lot of Kevin Costner going on.
The Costner cast. No longer the Clint cast. It's not the Clint Eastwood cast. No. Cast.
Now it's becoming the Costner cast, but this still ties back to the Clint cast.
Oh.
Because this is a movie directed by Clint Eastwood and it has Clint Eastwood in it too, but it stars Kevin Costner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got kind of a strange title. It's called A Perfect World.
Okay.
But really what it is, it's like a dramatic version of Big Daddy.
Really?
But instead of like, I
just got the image of like Clint Eastwood as Adam Sandler and Kevin Costner's his son. I just got that image. Like Kevin Costner like
shows up on his doorstep.
Like Kevin Costner like I don't know like throws up on the ground like oh let's get some towels. So he just like puts down newspaper for it. I love this boy.
Yeah, what happens in this movie, it's like in the 50s or something like that, and Kevin Costner is like busted out of jail with this one guy that he doesn't like, even says he doesn't like this guy. And they go into this one house, they're like, we just need to change cars or whatever and stuff. And the guy's like in this house, like trying to like rob this like lady, probably try to rape her and stuff. And there's like this boy. They're like, the only way we're gonna leave out here, we're gonna take a hostage. We'll take the boy. So they just take this boy.
Do they rape the girl?
No.
Okay.
They don't rape the boy either. If
that's good.
That was your next thought.
If the boy doesn't get raped, I'm not watching this fucking movie. That's all I'm saying.
So what they do is like they're on this kind of like journey, and really this kid's like he's a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh fuck.
So this kid's like, dude, this is fucking great. My dad left me a long time ago, and pretty much. Kevin Costner becomes this kid's like new dad, but he's like his crime dad.
Crime dad?
So they're gonna go on great adventures, but like,
Me and my crime dad, do. Smoking meth, killing people, crime dad, do.
And then Clint Eastwood is pretty much like the U.S. Marshal of like Texas, and he's trying to like. This is like one of Clint Eastwood's like most laziest roles ever, because really the entire I don't mean like bad way, but like him and Laura Dern from Jurassic Park's in it too. They're literally. They're like, we got this futuristic like crime scene vehicle. It's just really an Airstream trailer. It's supposed to be in like a parade, but you guys can go like take this on your adventure. So it's really just them in the back of like a motorhome this whole time or a trailer, kind of going like, we're gonna put blockades here and over here. We gotta think this out, and then we're gonna catch them probably when they go up north. And then Laura Dern's just there. She's like the psychiatrist. She's like, no, but he's not a crazy person. He's actually just a regular guy, just happened to be in bad things.
But he's on the wrong side of the law.
He's on the wrong side of the law. I'm Clint Eastwood.
Even though I break the law, but I'm Clint Eastwood. I'm above the law.
I mean, Clint Eastwood's the movie's mostly
he's
about
sitting
Kevin Costner,
the whole time.
He's literally sitting. And there's a part, too, where there's like, oh, there's action. Then, like, the trailer is chasing after, like, Kevin Costner in his car. And the guy's driving like, I'm gonna get him! And they have this kind of like mechanic boy who's like, yo, I'm just here to fucking take care of the trailer. He's like, don't.
He's the guy from Bonnie and Clyde.
Sorry, he's just the guy who's just there to like super.
He's like he's retarded, but he's the one.
No,
good
this guy's
thing.
not super. This guy's not retarded. This is like the smart guy who's like,
okay.
Don't fuck up. I gotta take the mayor really wants this trailer.
He's taking it camping.
So this guy ends up like crash into the woods and stuff. So now Clint Eastwood for like the next majority of the movie is just really just standing around like, well, Bill, you fucked up. I guess we just gotta wait here till the patrol cars come.
What if they're just like, we're going after him, but I'm still sitting. He's just like one of those like kind of like office chairs, just gonna go through the woods. Like, as long as I don't have to stand, I'm good.
Well, then they got this other guy in the thing. He's just wearing this black suit, and like the whole time everybody's like working, like trying to figure out what to do. He's just like fucking laying down, like eating like a bag of potato chips and like drinking soda, like. And he's always the guy's just like negative, like, nah, that's a stupid idea. That won't work. And he's just going like. Fuck is this guy? He's just there, just like not doing any work whatsoever, but he's just there to complain.
That's Chuck. He's counterintelligence.
He's trying to do it. And you finally figure out at the end of the movie, he's like, oh, this is what this guy's here for. This guy's a sniper.
Oh, he is?
But till then, he's just a total asshole and doesn't do any work. He's like, I'm in the waiting mode. I gotta wait.
Is that what he said?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's just how it is. Like, I gotta make my mind and body one so I can take down that target at any range.
That helps. I'm sitting back eating chips.
But chips and soda's how I get by. That's how it gets me there. It's my meditation.
Whatever works for you, you know.
But yeah, it was really just like a dramatic version of Big Daddy.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
I have to check that out. What's it called?
It's called Perfect World.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's, Clint Eastwood directs it.
Mm-hmm.
He's in it, and then Kevin Costner's the main person.
Okay.
And then you get a boy, so it's...
Hey, boy.
The boy.
Kevin Costner and the boy.
And you know what? There was one movie I just actually watched again, because I've been wanting to watch this for a long time. Just for a fact, I don't think I've seen it since it came out. And I just wanted to see how bad it was. And Wild Wild West.
Oh. I actually got something that's going to link around to that, but go ahead and finish. Say what you're going to say with it.
And here's the thing, is Will Smith is actually not bad in that movie. He's actually the good part of the movie, if that makes any sense. It's Chris Klein, or what's the other guy's name in that movie?
I don't remember.
I think I wrote it down. Kevin Kline. That's the guy who's actually kind of annoying in the movie, because he's always doing
into the robot spider legs and all that
No,
kind of shit.
that guy's kind of annoying too. No, Kevin Kline's he's the guy who's... not
Artemis, he's
Artemis.
The right-hand man.
Yeah. And he's the guy, he's just all these things he's doing the really fucking retarded shit in that movie. You're just where you kind of cringe, you're like, ooh.
I think the concept, because it was based on an old TV show, the concept of the steampunk Wild West is awesome.
Steampunk Wild West is cool. I think that,
just fell through.
Yeah, there's just some things in it that are weird. I mean, it's not it's a god-awful movie as some people make it, because some people make it off as, the worst, one of the worst movies ever made. I'm it's not that bad. Because you can still see where some of the neat stuff in it is in the movie, but it just has some kind of, the
bad things just outweigh everything else, though. I think
that and and some of Hayek's kind of fucking retarded. In that movie.
Here's the thing about
I'm retarded.
Okay, well,
my ass is hanging out.
The ragdoll motions the audience won't see. It's just heartbreaking because you guys just missed one of the greatest motions ever.
You're like I like Selma Hayek, but
that movie she's not doing a good job.
Well, yeah, I mean whatever. You just more feel bad for her, just
Well, here's the thing about that movie. It's just so the whole giant walking spider thing. Listen to Kevin Smith's rant on when he was doing the 90s Superman that got canceled. Go on YouTube, look that up. Everything you know about that is in there. Now, but everything else about that movie, because the giant walking spider's been beaten to death. Mm-hmm. That movie did have some cool ideas, but I think it's because it was based on a cool old show. Maybe by these standards, the show might be kind of cheesy by now.
Did that show have all that steampunk stuff in it, though, the old show?
I believe so. Maybe not to that level, but it has
it's one of those shows, I've known of that show, but I've never actually seen it. It never comes on TV.
I think he had, gas-powered guns and just some weird shit like that, but I don't know if it had anything to the degree of a walking spider.
No, I don't think it had anything, extreme. It probably just had, cool, 007, gadgets.
Yeah. But still, I think that's the concept.
I think the concept's cool.
It's still a bad movie.
It's one of those ones Will Smith's not the bad part of it.
I don't believe.
I don't think
he shouldn't have been James West, but
he shouldn't. Yeah, he shouldn't. Okay, just including the fact that it's a TV show, he's kind of it sounds weird, but he's almost like the prelude to Django. Sounds weird, but he's kind of like that.
I want to say there's a black western before that.
Well, it's probably I think
there's a Sidney Poitier western before that.
Is there?
I think there is.
Huh. Well, it's probably even more prelude to it, but it does kind of just including the fact that it was based off another TV show.
Don't tell that to Quentin Tarantino.
No, I'm not gonna tell that. But still, it's kind of that's sort of one of those ones it's the build up though. It's almost like that thing you almost can't have one thing without building up, even if the things before it aren't even always as good.
Well, here's the big problem with Wild Wild West, to me, which is, all right. Number one, it's not a race thing. I just think the whole idea of a black guy. I mean, I know it's fantasy. I know that, but it's
fantasy.
It's a little too fantasy because the idea of a black guy in the 1800s working for the government.
That's the part that just gets me. It's not like he's a lone guy.
If he was a lone guy, okay, but the government aspect. I mean, I know there's a giant walking fucking spider.
This is the part that
plus the original show, he's a white guy.
This is the one that. This is the part where it really lost me at. That was he fucking just walks into the White House.
Yeah.
A black man with a gun just walks into the White House.
In the 1800s.
Yeah, and just goes yo, General Grant, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that part right there when I was watching, I was there's no fucking way.
I know it's a show, but still, it's
almost a little, it does that thing that they do with a lot of 90s things, dude, racism wasn't that bad. Kind of I always go back to this movie, but in The Patriot, we're paid to work here. It's no fucking way. We love Mr. Mel Gibson.
Exactly. And then there's another part here's the other thing. It's fucking.
He takes us to dinner before he rapes us.
Maybe you could tell me. Maybe since you just watched it, maybe you could fill in some of the gaps.
Because I literally haven't seen it forever. It's I just got sometimes when movie gets beat to death, you're I just gotta go see it again because I just gotta remember.
You might be able to tell me where this fits in, but it was just almost kind of because I don't remember. I was like, what was the fucking point of that? Samuel Hyatt comes in. He says, "You got to save my father, please, Mr. James West, save my father." You know, doing that whole thing. And she's really just there to be saved the whole time, which, whatever, okay, it's in a lot of Westerns, but it's especially a lot more in this one, it seems, because she doesn't really do anything in this movie, I remember, she's just getting saved the whole time, and showing her ass. In the very end, after they're kind of like, you know, in a dick measuring contest for this girl, she just comes in and says, "Actually, I'm married to him, he's not my father." It's like, why would you even...
Make that up.
Yeah, maybe there's something I missed, but they never come back around. You're like, okay. They just, you know,
Yeah, it's just like, nobody's gonna fuck me.
Yeah. Just, it's one of those things. It's just...
that was just, yeah. There's just some things that are just kind of weird in it. And I think it's just like, it's more like, it sounds weird. If that movie was taken very serious, I think it could actually be a cooler movie.
It was trying to be like Men in Black in the West.
Yeah, but it almost feels more like Men in Black 2 in the West. That's what it feels.
Not good.
Yeah, not Men in Black 1 where it's, you know,
Men in Black's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, Men in Black, it's funny too because it's the same director too.
I know, that's the sad thing about it.
That happens a lot in life.
There's a story that I think Kevin Smith told one time on one of his podcasts where Men in Black won because it was a surprise success. Like, oh my God, no one was expecting this movie to be this good and come out this good. And because that is a good movie. It's even PG-13, summer blockbuster. It's still a good movie. It had like the dark comedy worked. It wasn't anything too dark. It was just
the concept worked really well, and
it was all around a fun movie. Now the second, then like he said, like he was working on the second one. Way more budget.
Same director that did
same director on the second one, and he said something like the guy had like a heart attack or a stroke, and he fell over, and he was in the back of the hospital, and he said to like an EMT, he said like, the downside, if I die right now, I won't be able to see my daughter get married and have children or have grandchildren. Upside, if I die right now, I don't have to finish this movie.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of those ones, like, it's one of those movies, it's not god-awful. Some people make it off like, oh, it's like one of the, but that's how all people, like, I think sometimes they don't think about the movies that are actually worse.
I think it's just, like, it was so overproduced. It was just...
Yeah, it's very overproduced.
And plus, Patton Oswalt has this whole story about, I'm just kind of like...
The music video of it.
Not the music video. He has the story because he was writing at MTV. He was, like, writing for MTV, and he said, like, they paid a couple $1 million to do this whole like song and dance to promote this movie, and for 2 weeks he like because Will Smith he has like a posse of like 200 people, and these guys are a bunch of fucking idiots, kids running around stealing shit, yelling at people, stealing everything from like the concession table and all that, just make it a living hell. And there's this one little area for Will to sit by himself and just be by himself. And I went over there one time, just looked at him, and he was sitting down, with his head down, in silence, with all the lights off. Like, this is his life. So, and he said, like, you know, and that's just one of those things, when you hear, like, that much money and stuff went into something, it's almost kind of like, just take it as a movie. It's not good, but it's probably not god-awful. But at the same time, when you hear that much shit, it kind of just twists the knife even more for you.
Yeah, it's because as far as movie, it's not like it's horrible. I don't think it's really god awful. I think it's, you know, it's just one of those movies. It's like, it's decent.
I wouldn't even say it's decent to me, but that's just...
I don't know, to me it's like, you watch it and you're like, okay, I guess because I see that, I guess it's got some things in it that are a little bit different. I think that is cool. I think the slapstickiness of it and kind of like the unrealistic kind of likeness, the racism part, it's like, where you can just kind of freely walk around anywhere like this and these people seem to not care whatsoever. You know, like that kind of like untruthful stuff. But I don't think it's like a god awful movie. That's just one thing. It's not that bad.
I wouldn't say it's god awful. I just don't think it was a good movie. That's just me though. But
because to me it's like it's just like those average, you know, just like
over. Yeah, I can see that. I sort of see that.
I mean, it doesn't do anything amazing, but it doesn't do anything like. I don't think it's just. I just don't think it's just. People make it out to be worse than it really is.
I haven't seen it since my freshman year of high school, but I might have to see it again. I don't remember it being. I don't like it. Maybe it's not as bad as I remember it being, but something though regarding the Wild Wild West and westerns and Will Smith. He's apparently up to be in. I don't know if he's an outlaw. This could work because it's. I mean, first off, this movie doesn't need to be made. But if he's not a government man, which is the big problem with Wild Wild West, if he's just some lone guy, fine. But Will Smith might be starring, I guess, as the William Holden character for the Wild Bunch remake.
Huh.
which that doesn't need to happen. I'm not going to automatically jump
Why?
to Will
Yeah,
Smith.
why?
I'm not going to jump to Will Smith, but why does that movie have to happen?
Well, yeah, it's like westerns are like some of the few movies that never need to be remade because it looks the same no matter what.
Yeah.
What's going to be different by remaking a movie that's a western?
I don't know.
That's the thing about a western. It's like it's just going to look the exact same thing, just maybe a little bit newer camera.
I was joking with a friend, like, all right, I was telling about the Wild Bunch, like, all right, now say the first, I was not joking, this actually happened. I said, name the first person you expect, the last person you expect to be in this movie. He's like, Will Smith. Just shrugged. I'm like, you're right. What? He like backed up. Are you fucking with me?
That's funny. That Wild Bunch doesn't even happen though. That remake.
That's a beautiful movie as is.
I feel like that's like you can like when you remake like a movie like now remake
the guys that played Mary and Pippin to play like the two like guys that are best friends.
Are they?
No, I'm just speaking hypothetically. I'm just speaking hypothetically.
Oh, Mary and Pippin.
Oh, we're swimming in a giant barrel of wine and fucking Mexican hookers.
Oh, look, marijuana. Oh, I'm gonna smoke it, then eat. Oh,
the elfin bread. Or the elfin bread.
It's like that one part too where it's just like
Hobbit munchies.
Like Legolas is like, they're like, here, this this elf bread, you can take like one bite and it fills a man's belly for like an entire day.
They ate all of it.
And they're like, oh. But we just ate 4 pieces of it.
One of them farts.
Yeah, and then just like one's like, oh, well, that was supposed to last for all of us for our whole journey.
They all just kind of like shrug back to Lord of the Rings for a second. They all just kind of roll it off like, okay, whatever. But Gandalf's the one guy just like gripping a stick like these little fucks.
Just like breathing like.
Pulls out his pipe, lights it up.
Just do the thing like from like here. Let's go back to Will Smith. Do the thing from like Bad Boys, like woosa, woosa. Like when they have like the anger management coach.
Yeah. Don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That was Martin Lawrence. That's right.
Oh yeah.
But no, that is Will Smith film. Before we go, I actually want to say something real quick. We've actually for like doing this podcast with us like for our 68th episode now. So
this is literally 68.
68. Oh. Xbox One, how about that? Anyway, 68. Back, I think, in episode 5 or episode 6 or something, I talked about a comic book I made. I made this comic book called Grit. And it's pretty much a dark action comedy with some sci-fi elements to it. It takes me a while to make them, but issue 1's been done for about a year. Issue 2 is 100% done. So nice. if you guys like the stuff we do, if you like the podcast, which it's different because it's a different kind of comedy. But if you like the Drunk Batman stuff, it's different from that too. But check it out. You can find links to it at oldmanorange.com. You can go to, there's a Facebook page for the comic book Grit.
Yeah, and name that one off because it has a strange...
Grit comic book series.
Yeah, there we go.
There's a link to it at our website at oldmanorange.com. And you go to photos and it's under issue 2. But there's also issue 1, Monkey See, Monkey Kill. It's about a chimpanzee in a gas mask that kills people. There's more to the story than that, but that's the short and simple of it. And there's also, if you can't find that, there's also there's a link to my personal Facebook page on there, and it's in my photo albums in there too, as well as the Old Man Orange photo album on Facebook.
So, yeah, the simplest way to find is just to go to oldmanorange.com.
You got
literally a link to everything there.
You got a choice of links there. Now, issue 1 is actually posted on oldmanorange.com, but issue 2 is on the other ones. We got to get issue 2 up on oldmanorange.com eventually, but yeah.
Well, till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Goodbye.